On the news tonight, Supreme Court affirms Adeleke as Osun PDP governorship candidate. President Muhammadu Buhari urges presidential candidates to shun personal attacks, says campaigns must be issue-based. And Senate President Hamad Lawan accepts judgment affirming Machina as APC Yobe North senatorial candidate. Many thanks for joining us on News Now. I am Folashade Ogurinde. The Supreme Court has affirmed Ademola Adeleke as a duly elected governorship candidate of the People's Democratic Party, PDP. Oyedotun Babayemi, a governorship aspirant, had taken Adeleke before a federal high court in Osogbo, seeking to be declared as the PDP candidate for the July 16 governorship election in Osun State. Two factions of the party had on March 8 conducted separate governorship primaries featuring Adeleke and Babayemi. In a list of candidates later released by the Independent National Electoral Commission (INEC), Adeleke was recognized as a duly elected candidate for the PDP. Ahead of the 2023 general elections, President Muhammadu Buhari has asked presidential candidates to shun incitement and commit to issue-based campaigns. The president said this on Thursday at the 2023 elections peace accord signing organized by the National Peace Committee in Abuja. In a video message, the president warned that the rise of fake news and misinformation have continued to pose a significant threat to democracy in Nigeria. Reiterating his commitment to peaceful, credible and transparent elections, President Buhari said what the Peace Committee, led by its chairman and a former head of state, General Abdulsalami Abubakar, has been doing over the years aligns with his belief that Nigeria needs peace in order to achieve credible elections.
I thank members of the National Peace Committee, led by its chairman, General Abdulsalami Abubakar, for their commitment and dedication to supporting peaceful elections in Nigeria and for facilitating peace generally across the country. As the President, I have always reiterated my commitment to peaceful, credible and transparent elections, and what the Peace Committee has been doing over the years aligns with my belief that Nigeria needs peace in order to achieve credible elections. However, the rise of fake news and misinformation continue to pose a significant threat to democracy in Nigeria. It has shifted focus away from issue-based campaigns to amplifying the potential for personal attacks, insults, and incitement. It has also significantly diminished the civility and decency in public discourse and debate. The initiatives undertaken by National Peace Committee to commit all political actors to issue-based campaign devoid of incitement, personal insults, and attacks is a welcome development. The 2023 general election is more than an election. It is an opportunity to serve Nigeria, to defend Nigeria, and to uphold her unity and progress.
To speak more on this, I'm joined now by Adi Folarin Olamilekan, political affairs analyst. Thank you very much for joining us. Now, this is, of course, not the first time aspirants will be coming together to sign a peace pact. But do you think the signing of this peace pact is binding enough to prevent electoral violence in the upcoming polls?
Thank you very much for having me, TV360. I'm very glad to speak on this particular issue. Let us first establish that the peace pact we are witnessing today has been a trend that became so popular in Nigeria electoral process in 2015. Then 2019, it also became so popular. And other African countries have also copied and be able to implement this, like Kenya, last election, as well as Angola. But the key thing is this, which I'm going to draw out from a political economy lens. The peace pact signing is more of elitist process. to prevent electoral violence in our electoral process in 2023. It doesn't trickle down to the foot soldiers of these political gladiators who may end up being the people who carry the burden of violence in the election. Let me paint a scenario here. Are you with me?
Go ahead, please.
Let me paint a scenario here. We have 5 stages of where we can identify who and who commit atrocity during election. We have the political gladiators, the candidates themselves. We have their political parties. We have their associates, who could be NGOs or CSO. Then we have traditional rulers and religious leaders. Then we also have the foot soldiers. Now, out of these 5 units I've pointed out, you can see the candidate is on his own. Whatever the candidate says now in this period of pre-election, post-election, or during the election itself, constitutes what the downtrodden, the last part of what I've painted, the foot soldiers normally do, or his associates, or his friends, or people who have sheer likeness for him. So the peace pact doesn't bind those set of people not to carry out, it doesn't have an effect on those set of people not to carry out the kind of malpractice or the kind of violence they normally witness in election. But the gladiators, as we see today, may not carry arms, may not carry guns, may not carry cutlass, but they may have the means to get it for the foot soldiers who are on the ladder of bottom ladder of what are painted. That means the foot soldiers who doesn't know anything, who are more gullible, who are not educated, who doesn't know the essence of peace in society. So the peace signing accord is good as far as it's an elitist form of operation or process of election, but it doesn't keep the violence away from the foot soldiers who end up carrying out this violence at the end of the day. So what should we build the way out for this? That's what we'll be looking at in 2023 election.
Now, I'd like you to give a response to the last question you asked. What do you think is the solution to this? Because you've mentioned the fact that the foot soldiers are usually the ones who take up arms and cause violence during elections. So what must be done to ensure that the significance or the importance of this peace pact is trickled down to the grassroots?
Although it has already been signed, I wish it can be reviewed in the sense that it is not just the gladiators that will be signing. Traditional rulers or domicile communities who we have identified as flash points because they are flash points of violence in election period. So those identified flash points of violence in election period, can we identify the religious leaders? Can we identify the traditional leaders? Can we identify the youth leaders in those areas, in those flash points? Let them also go into signing of peace pact with the people of their community and themselves. Then the political parties, not just political parties at the national level. What about their ward level? What about their local government level? Because whatever is going to transfer or transform into violence during elections will come from the grassroots level. So the signing is top-bottom, which I consider as a signing of peace pact. But the bottom of it all must also be in pact with each other. What I'm trying to say is that if we have identified flashpoints where violence will take place, let them also sign peace pact among themselves with the people. What about the NURC members, which we know they are readily foot soldiers for violence of election? What about Akada riders? What about unemployed youth organization, unemployed individual or youth who constitute themselves as organizations that will be supporting one candidate or the other, who are share love for each of the candidates that may not be happy if their candidate lose? Can we have opportunity for them to also sign peace accords among themselves? That is the way forward. That's what I see. But we just hope the security agency will be able to do more and be able to identify flashpoints at this point in time and begin to address some of the things that we see or we think will happen during election in 2023.
Well, indeed, Adefolari Olamilekan, political affairs analyst, thank you very much for your time and your contribution. The Senate President, Ahmad Lawan, says he accepts a court verdict affirming Bashir Mashina as the All Progressives Congress candidate for Yobe North Senatorial District. In a statement on Thursday, Lawan said after consultations with his political associates, he has decided not to appeal the judgment. Lawan further appreciated his governor and his constituency member for their support and leadership role in the APC political family in Yobe State. A federal high court on Wednesday directed the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, to recognize Mashina as the APC candidate for the senatorial district. The Federal Executive Council (FEC) has approved 27 billion naira for the rehabilitation of a 27-kilometer road linking Ondo and Edo states. Minister of Information and Culture Lai Mohammed said this at the end of the weekly FEC meeting chaired by President Muhammadu Buhari. It further said the council also approved the sum of 1.85 billion naira for the construction of a 27-kilometer retaining wall at the Salt Lake in Ebonyi State.
Approval of the award of contract for the rehabilitation of the Iduani Otuo Road, which links Ondo and Edo states. The contract is for the sum of 27 billion naira. It's awarded to Mothercare Limited, Mothercat Limited, and it has a completion period of 27 months.
The Managing Director of the National Inland Waterways Authority, NIWA, George Mogalu, has said the authority will continue to clamp down on illegal boat operators in the country waterways to avert boat mishaps. He made this known during the 52nd session of the weekly State House media briefing at the Presidential Villa in Abuja. The NIWA boss explained that recurrent boat accidents are unfortunate and must be addressed to end the series of mishaps suffered by Nigerians. Mogalu also disclosed that the government has opened up over 3,800 waterways across the country.
Somebody refuses to use the registered jetties and goes to a shoreline, parks his boat, convinces people to enter the boat without wearing life jacket, without being properly kitted, and enters the waterway and runs into trouble. It's human error. Jetties are registered. You don't just build a jetty. There's a presidential committee that approves jetty, that approves the license. So when you finish, that committee will come and inspect. If they are satisfied, they issue you license for those private jetties, apart from the ones we are building ourselves and certifying. So there are penalties, and we don't compromise standards with regards to that. We monitor river flow on a regular basis, and we report to agencies, we report to communities along the banks. We let them understand, we monitor. We have a department that deals with it, our research and planning department deals with it on a regular basis, monitoring river flow, monitoring water flow, so that we don't have our people taking unawares when it has to do with flooding. And another way we address this issue is by increasing our maintenance dredging. Because flooding usually takes place when the water route is silted. When the water route is silted, the only way you can remove that, because if it's silted, water will now keep expanding instead of following a channel. So the only way you can address that is to make sure you dredge open the channel, and the water will follow that channel and go. So we'll continue doing the dredging. We are doing maintenance dredging. One thing we must understand is that capital dredging is one expensive business, very expensive business, and it's not something you do every day.
The First Lady of Edo State, Betsy Obaseki, has decried the alleged inhuman treatment meted on a physically challenged man, Lucky Osarekowe, by his family over the sale of a land belonging to his sister. Betsy Obaseki, who visited the visually impaired man at the Oredo Primary Healthcare Center in Benin City, assured the victim that his family members who locked him inside the family house without food for 7 days will be made to face the full wrath of the law. The Edo First Lady, who was accompanied on the visit by the Commissioner for Youth and Gender, Andrew Ewenta, said the case is now between the state government and the family of the victim. Earlier, the visually impaired man, Lucky Osarekowe, who narrated his ordeal to Obaseki, said his problem began when he refused to connive with his family members to sell a house belonging to his sister in the diaspora.
I thank the rescue where they rescue me. I thank all of them because I've told them before. I thank all of them because they were the rescue me. They abandoned me.
I tell them, say, maybe only to rescue you, you must also catch your family. Everybody will do this thing to you. You must arrest them. I don't tell them for money when they call me about your matter, when then they go to go pick you up. Because this thing what they do to you, they don't get right to do them. Then work against the law, and they working against the law, now working against state government. Now your matter, now government case it be. So now government against them now, what do you this thing? Nobody got any right to treat another human being the way they treat.
Leading stakeholders in Nigeria's manufacturing and waste management sectors have applauded the Nigerian Bottling Company Limited (NBC) for its initiatives aimed at combating climate change and eradicating the menace of plastic waste in the country. Speaking during the annual NBC Stakeholders Forum held on Thursday in Lagos, the keynote speaker and environmentalist Newton Jibuno, while highlighting the resulting effect of climate change, charged Nigerian youths to be at the forefront of the fight against environmental waste. In his remark, the Managing Director of the Lagos Waste Management Authority, LOMA, Ibrahim Odumboni, explained government's efforts towards provision of an enabling environment for private sector participation.
Climate issue is a topical thing now, and I've been on it for almost 50 years. And I thought I wasn't going to see the change. That is the enthusiasm, the sensitization, the kind of awareness one is desirous of to go around. We are borrowing the future from the youth. It belongs to them, whatever people say today about the inadequacies that you find amongst the youth. I see it as nonsense. They are the future. But when the chips are down, they, the youth, have no choice but to rise up to the occasion and take the leadership and take the whole issue that we are debating today.
This year, Loma has spent over 120 million on supporting recycling. I don't expect anything back, no. But for us, I just don't want bottles. Once the bottles start disappearing, then we are good to go. 17% of all our things on the dump site are recyclables, of which 12 of those are plastic, pure plastic, created from now till back about 18 years ago. We know 3 years ago we had 3 recyclers. Now we have 160 plus recycling companies with over 15,000 people employed. A lot of things going on in the industry. And recycling alone, when it comes to bottle recycling, is worth 18 billion.
I'll take a break here, but still to come. Nigeria liquefied petroleum gas production now 5 million tons annually. Details of the story and more right after this break.
Opinions are free, facts are sacred, the truth is universal.
How, in practical terms, can we, for instance, de-escalate the tension?
President must see himself as the President of the Federal Republic.
We know where the enemy is. 3 places, the Lake Chad Basin, the border area between Nigeria and Cameroon, and then the Sambisa Forest.
On TV360, we give you a complete dose of everything. Opinion, facts and undiluted truth.
I hardly believe what politicians are saying in this part of the world.
The new Nigeria is possible, a future is possible.
We delve into the issues, dissect it so that you can understand it, use it to take action.
I don't think there's any need for any governor to look for grant for ranching.
TV360, dissecting the issues.
Welcome back. Now here is a recap of some of our top stories tonight. The Supreme Court has affirmed Ademola Adeleke as the duly elected governorship candidate of the People's Democratic Party, PDP. Oyedotun Babayemi, a governorship aspirant, are taking Adeleke before a federal high court in Osogbo, seeking to be declared as the PDP candidate for the July 16 governorship election in Osun State. In a list of candidates later released by the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, Adeleke was recognized as a duly elected candidate for the PDP. But we also told you that President Muhammadu Buhari has asked presidential candidates to shun incitements and commit to issue-based campaigns. The The president said this on Thursday at the 2023 elections peace accord signing organized by the National Peace Committee in Abuja. In a video message, the president warned that the rise of fake news and misinformation have continued to pose a significant threat to democracy in Nigeria. Well, in case you missed any of our news bulletins, for more updates, do log on to our website on www.tv360nigeria.com. You can also follow us on our social media platforms on Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, and Google Plus at TV360 Nigeria. On Facebook, we are TV360 Online. Nearly 2 years after COVID-19 vaccines became widely available, a global study has confirmed that vaccination can lead to temporary changes in cycle length for some people. According to the study, which is published in the medical journal BMJ, study participants who were vaccinated reported on average a nearly 1-day increase in the length of their menstrual cycle after receiving their first COVID vaccine shot and a half-day increase after receiving their second dose. Participants who received both vaccine doses in a single menstrual cycle had a nearly 4-day increase in cycle length. Well, U.S. Professor of Civil and Systems Engineering at Johns Hopkins University has won the 2022 Lasker Bloomberg Public Service Award on Wednesday for creating a Johns Hopkins COVID-19 dashboard, a project that tracked and mapped the outbreak of the virus across the world in the earliest days of the pandemic. According to the Lasker Foundation, the project instigated a revolution in public health reporting as the tracker expanded to include the ballooning death toll, recoveries, and later vaccinations, with Gardner's team creating systems to compile numbers from disparate reporting methods from countries across the world. I'll take a break here and return with more stories and business. To stay with us. Welcome back. Mary Kanu joins us now for more stories and business. Over to you, Mary.
Thank you, Folashade. Hello and welcome to Business News. The federal government has revealed that Nigeria currently produces about 5 million tons of liquefied petroleum gas annually. This was disclosed in a statement by the Special Advisor to the President on Economic Matters at Adeyemi Dipeolu at the India-Nigeria Liquefied Petroleum Gas Summit in Abuja. He emphasized the need for imperative policies, incentives and investment to grow the Nigerian LPG market and also make cleaner fuel available, accessible and affordable not only for household cooking but also in auto gas, captive power generation, heating and cooling, as well as agriculture and industry. The Nigerian Senate has passed for second reading a bill seeking to regulate and formalize informal sector employment in Nigeria. The sponsor of the bill, Senator Mohammed Sani, in his presentation said the bill also seeks to empower the National Directorate of Employment to issue licenses and monitor privately owned agencies. Sani said operation in the informal sector was usually on a small scale with labor-intensive production and usually private ownership driven. In their contributions, other lawmakers said it was also important to ensure that the bill has provisions to protect employers, as there have been instances when an employee treats the employer unfairly.
Many jobs in the informal labor market in Nigeria still experiences They experience decent work deficit. Employees in the informal sector are often seen as having no rights and are not treated fairly by their employers. All of this bill seeks to correct. Mr. President, my distinguished colleagues, this bill empowers the National Directorate of Employment to issue license and monitor the activities of employment agencies throughout the country. The National Directorate of Employment therefore shall, A, on an application from an agency who desired to function as an employment agency, in the prescribed format, issue a license after having been duly satisfied that 1, the agency is registered either as a sole proprietorship, partnership firm, company, or as non-profit organization.
A bill for an act to regulate and formalize the employment of domestic workers, apprenticeships, interns, and other informal sector employees in Nigeria, and to empower the National Directorate of Employment to issue license and monitor privately owned employment agencies whose responsibility will be to enroll employees in their data bank, safeguard and enhance their social security, and oversee their recruitment by employers who engage in legitimate occupation on such terms and conditions as may be agreed by the parties, and for other related matters. 2022 second reading taken, and the bill is referred to the Committee on Labor and Productivity.
We'll go on a break now and return with a review of the stock market. Well, it is a sad turn of events for the NGX as the bear showed up, dragging the market down to 0.42%, with the basis points slipping further down to 48,964 basis points. A look at the market summary shows, compared with the previous NGX trading day, there was an improvement in volume and turnover, but a 20% decline in deals. The poor performances of Nestle and Afriperd saw both equities drop 18%, combined share value to top the losers counter. In the aggregate, 101 NGX listed equities participated in trading, ending with 11 gainers and 15 losers. Well, it's been 2 days of gains and 2 days of losses this week as we await the last trading day of the week to see what it brings. A switch now to the global scene. Stock markets have been hit globally this year amid worries that aggressive monetary policy tightening to curb inflation could tip economies into recession, and that's why we see mixed trading in the US, UK and Asia. We can see that in FTSE, it's trading down at 1.77%, Dow Jones 1.54%, and Nikkei Asia stock is trading up at 0.95%. Well, that's all on Stock Market Review. Folashade, back to you now for the rest of the news.
Well, many thanks, Mary. And on the foreign scene, Russia's plan to annex more of Ukraine on Friday in an escalation of what 7-month war that seemed sure to further isolate the Kremlin, draw it more international punishment and bring extra military, political and economic support to Ukraine. The annexation would come just days after voters reportedly approved Moscow-managed referendums that Ukrainian and Western officials have denounced as illegal, forced and rigged. In an apparent response, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky called an emergency meeting on Friday of his National Security and Defense Council. The US and its allies have promised to adopt even more sanctions than they've already leveled against Russia and to offer millions of dollars in extra support for Ukraine. Well, up next is Entertainment Reporter News Now.
Nigerian Grammy Award-winning artist Burna Boy has released a video of It's Plenty, the 9th track of his 6th studio album, Love the Mini. The 3 minutes and 55 seconds video, directed by Troy Roscoe, a film director from the UK, already has over 1.5 million views on the artist's YouTube page. The album, which was released on the 8th of July, has for the past 12 weeks been among the top 15 albums in the worldwide Apple Music album chart, and has hit over 200 million streams on Boomplay and Spotify, respectively. Grammy-winning American rapper artist Leon Ivor Jr., popularly known by his stage name Coolio, has died. Coolio passed away on Wednesday afternoon in Los Angeles. His friend and manager Jarrett Posey, who confirmed his death, said the 59-year-old rapper died after being found unresponsive on the floor while visiting a friend. However, the exact cause of death has not been disclosed. Coolio started rapping in the 1980s but gained stardom in 1995 after releasing the timeless Gangsta's Paradise hit. And that's all we have on the entertainment segment of News Now.
In sports, the federal government has called on football stakeholders in the country to remain calm and abide by the court order restraining the conduct of the Nigeria Football Federation election scheduled for Friday in Benin City. In a statement on Wednesday, Ismaila Abubakar, Permanent Secretary, Federal Ministry of Youth and Sports Development, said the ministry is monitoring developments regarding the NFF Congress scheduled to hold on September 30. According to the statement, relevant stakeholders were asked not to take steps that can be interpreted as disobedience to the court order. And that's the size of our news bulletin. Many thanks for watching. I am Fola Shadi. Ogurinde. Bye for now.